In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at exploring rates. Two of the fastest mammals are the pronghorn antelope and the greyhound dog. The antelope can run 24 kilometers in 15 minutes, and the greyhound can run 12 kilometers every 10 minutes. Which one can run faster? So in order to answer that question, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out how far each one can run in an hour. So how many chunks of 15 make an hour? So we're going to multiply this by 4 to get to 1 hour. What's 24 times 4? You have calculators. What's 24 times 4?
96.
96.
Okay.
So the antelope can run 96 kilometers in an hour. Now let's do the greyhound. How many chunks of 10 go into 60?
The answer for 6.
6. So we multiply 12 times 6. And what's 12 times 6?
9.0. Oh. I don't know. 72.
Okay. So is the greyhound or the antelope faster?
Go Greyhound.
No.
Oh.
The antelope
I don't know.
runs 96 kilometers. So the antelope is faster.
Higher.
All right. Rates are all around us in the real world. Rates are used when we download music on our phone, and the download rate would be megabytes per second. When we drive our cars, in kilometers per hour. If we have a job and we get paid $15 per hour. If we shop for school supplies and we see that 12 pencils cost $3, and so on. A unit rate is when, and there's a typo here, is when, cross out those words, please. A unit rate is when the second unit is 1. For example, Mr. Kinsley bikes 30 kilometers per hour. That's a unit rate because it's telling us how far he goes in 1 hour. It could be 1 minute. It could be 1 day. Whatever it is, it's per 1 hour. That's a 1 there. So let's take a look at a couple examples. Mrs. Hernandez buys 40 liters of gas and she pays $66.40. Determine the unit rate of cost per liter. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to take the cost, which is $66.40, and we're going to divide it by how much she bought. How much did she buy? How much did she buy? 40 liters. So before we type that into our calculator, the answer is going to be something in dollars per liter. So take $66.40 on your calculator, Lance, and divide it by 40. What do you get? $1.66. So it costs $1.66 per liter for the gas at the gas station where she's at. So every liter of gas costs $1.66. Okay? Now, part B. How much would 25 liters of gas cost? Lance? So now we're going to take $1.66 and we're going to multiply it by 25 because $1.66 is the cost for every liter, and we're multiplying it by 25 because we want to find out how much 25 liters of gas costs.
41.5.
What's that?
41.5.
So $41.50. Remember, when we're talking about money, we need to have not one decimal place, but 2 decimal places. So if you get 41.5, you need to put a 0 after the 5, because if you go to the store and buy a shirt, they're not going to tell you the shirt costs $22.5. They're going to say it's $22.50. Okay. All right, next example. Mr. Johnston walks 22 kilometers in 4 hours. How far does he walk in an hour? Don't tell me the answer. Tell me how we get it. How do we get it? Corbin.
You divide 4 by 2. And then
No.
divide
No.
what?
No,
Wouldn't it
No.
be 22 divided by 4?
I would totally agree with that. You take 22, the distance he travels, and you divide it by 4 hours.
Who's gonna say?
It's 22 divided by 4. So it's 5.5, and that's, see, here's the deal.
That's
This isn't, we don't have to put a 0 on the end of this because we're not talking money. So we can just put 5.5
divide 4.
kilometers
5.5?
per hour. We divide 22 by 4. And we could do that in our head, quite frankly, because what's 22 divided by 2?
Okay, so what's the next one? 11.
11. And what's 11 divided by 2? What's half of 11? 5.5. So we don't need a calculator for this last one. We can do questions like 22 divided by 4 without a calculator. And like always, I'm going to encourage you, if you don't need the calculator, don't use it. Because this kind of stuff is like exercise. If you use it too much, you're not going to develop those sharp mental math skills. Now, part B is an interesting question. Part B says, we see he travels 5.5 kilometers per hour. What is Mr. Johnston's speed in meters per second? This is a little trickier because when we look at speed, sometimes we think of meters per second. And in order to do this, what we need to do is we need to take kilometers and turn it into meters. And we need to take a look at hours and turn it into seconds. So right now, the speed is 5.5 kilometers for every 1 hour.
Corbin, shut up.
Now, let me ask you this. How many meters are there in a kilometer? 1,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 5.5 by 1,000. And again, before we go reaching for the calculator, remember, we're just moving the decimal place 3 spots to the right. If I move it 1 spot, I get 55. If I move it 2 spots, I get... Can you say that again, Chase?
550.
Good. And if we move it a third time, we get...
5,500.
Beautiful. So we get 5,500 on top. 5,500 meters. Now we have to turn hours into seconds. This is trickier. What's that?
I'm a second.
Yeah, you're on the right track. How many minutes are in an hour? 60. How many seconds are in a minute?
60.
So how many seconds are in an hour?
Oh, 600.
Wouldn't it be 60 times 60?
60 times 60. And what would 60 times 60 be?
360.
What's that?
360.
No, 3,600. So it's 3,600 seconds, and we're absolutely going to need a calculator here. What's 5,500 divided by 3,600? 1.53 if we round up meters per second. So 5.5 kilometers per hour turns into 1.53 meters per second. And again, we got that because we got that by taking the 5.5 kilometers, multiplying it by 1,000 to turn it into meters, and then we took the 1 hour and multiply 1 hour and multiply it by 3,600 to get 3,600 seconds. And as a result, we get 1.53 meters per second. Okay?